to another weekly breakdown. Last week was a great week. We ended up closing out our trades with a combined profit of 7 risk to reward. And if you held on to CHFJPY, you at least closed out your trades with a 9 risk to reward. But before I start this week's weekly recap, I have to go back to the week before because I didn't post a weekly recap because I had some issues with my laptop. But there was enough lessons learned that we applied in the week after that, and that's why we ended up getting a very, very, very profitable week. So let's start off with silver. First, we want to identify the direction of the market. If you look to the left, you can clearly see we are in a uptrend. We are forming higher highs and higher lows. This was the previous lower low. Then we had a break of this recent lower high, creating a higher high, followed by a higher low, pullback, higher low, higher high, higher low, and now we have our impulse breaking the previous structure to create this new higher low and a possibly continuation of the uptrend. If we identify our impulse, you can clearly see the impulse is all one color, followed by a retracement of minimum 2 daily candles. Those are also all one color. So we know the daily is bullish, impulse is correct, and the retracement is correct. If you go to the weekly, we will identify our support and resistance that could be of influence. Right here, you can see this level was our previously resistance that got broken. So here it was resistance, resistance, broke, used as support, got broken, used as resistance, and now price is above that level once again. So we are expecting this level to be used as support, followed by a continuation to the upside. We know the daily is bullish, the weekly is above the resistance level to now use it as support. On the daily, we draw our fib in the opposite direction of the retracement to measure the distance of the new impulse. So we expect the new impulse to come at least to the negative 27 before having its retracement to creating the higher low and continue the trend to the upside. On the 4 hour, we wait for the break of this 61 level as usual. So let's play it forward. You see right here, price went a little bit lower than our originally placement of the fib, but you can just adjust it to the highest and the lowest point. So we're waiting for the break of this 61 level. You can clearly see that price has now broken the 61 level, closed above, and even closed above this 38 level. Normally, if price close above the 38 level, we will not consider this setup as a possible trade. Even though price broke and closed above this 38 level, I still ended up taking this trade because the momentum to the upside was looking very great. So let me remove this red candle, and this was the break and close above the 61 and the 38. That means our order can go on the 61 level, stop loss on the 88, and take profit on the negative 27, or because the structure is all the way down here, if you want to be protected, you can put your entry right here in between the 88 and 61, the stop loss below the 100, take profit always negative 27, never change that one, to create at least a 1 to 3 risk to reward, so your entry will be right there. That way you are protected if price comes back all the way down here. As long as it doesn't close below this low, you will still be good because price can just come all the way back here and ended up going higher. So let's see what happened. Right now, you would have been tagged into the 61 entry and in between the 61 and 88 entry. Let's play it forward and see what happened. And as you can see, price ended up hitting stop loss on both entries. After price hit our stop loss, so let me delete these two, it ended up going lower, tapping into this support level. So if I go to the daily, you can see right here, price wasn't price hasn't entered deeply into this level, so there was still some room left. After we entered this trade, you can see that price ended up going lower and tapping into this support level. If I go back to the 4 hour and I adjust the fib from the highest to the lowest, you can see right here, price ended up breaking back above the 61 level to give us a possible re-entry for this trade. I did not re-enter this trade, but we can see what ended up happening. Price breaks the 61, came back to it. So if you had re-entered this trade, it would look like this. Entry 61, stop loss 88, take profit negative 27, and you would have now entered this trade. As soon as price breaks this 38 level, you can now move your stop loss to break even and it becomes a risk-free trade. And let's play it forward. Boom. Price hit TP. If you would have re-entered this trade, you would have got your 3 risk to reward at least. But I did not ended up re-entering this trade. So this was the first trade from the week before last week. Our second setup is going to be GBP USD. If we go back to the setup, you can see right here, price had this impulse, but it barely closed above the previous highest point of the previous structure. So if we identify the direction of the market, it would look like this: lower low, lower high, lower low. Anything in between this and this is still a bearish structure, but price ended up breaking above this high to create a higher high, higher low, higher high, pull back to create a possible higher low, and then you can see, boom, we had the new impulse. You can even put it all the way down here. We had this impulse, but it closed above the close, but I like for my structure to close above the highest point. So the close of the candle would need to be all the way up here compared to the highest point of the previous structure. So this was why I did not ended up taking this trade. And if we go to the weekly time frame, I would have to remove this one. You can see price is below a resistance level, and we want to sell at resistance and buy at support. So right here, this would be our resistance level. If you look to the left, you can see resistance, support, 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 support. So price is now right here at this resistance level. I was expecting for price to continue to the downside or at least stay around this level. But if you look on the daily, you can see price came to this level once, had a retracement, came to it once again, had a retracement. So in my eyes, it wasn't likely for price to go again and break above this level. So let's see what ended up happening. We have our impulse right here. The body did close above this high, but this would be our impulse. It is all one color. I had already identified we are in a bullish market structure. We now have our retracement of 2 daily candles minimum, and they are all one color. So the impulse is correct, retracement is correct. Normally we would like our new impulse to close above the highest point of the previous structure, so that did not ended up happening. On the weekly, we already saw that price is at this previously support turned into resistance level. If we go back to the daily and we draw our fib from the end of the retracement to the beginning, on the 4 hour, we wait for the break of this 61 level. Let's play it out until we have the break. Price ended up going lower, so you can just adjust your fib to the highest and the lowest point. Waiting for the break. Right now, you see price has broken the 61 level. Our entry point can now go on the 61 level. Stop loss below the 88 and the take profit on the negative 27. So you see, for price to reach or take profit, it would need to clear this strong resistance level. So that was also a reason I didn't end up taking this trade. But let's see how this would have played out. We're waiting, and boom. You can see right now we have been tapped into this trade. Stop loss is good. Price didn't came to a stop loss. Price broke the 38 level, so that means our stop loss can now go to break even and it becomes a risk-free trade. So we're waiting. Price has now cleared that resistance level and also hit TP. So as you can see, silver ended up stepping us out of the trade, gave us a re-entry, then hitting take profit. GBP USD also hit take profit. And now we're going to NZD JPY. On the daily time frame, always start off identifying which direction the market is going into. If you look to the left, you can clearly see that price is in a bearish market structure. Lower low, lower high, lower low. Now price is having a pullback and we expect a lower high to be created, followed by a impulse to the downside. You can see all these red candles right here would be our impulse to the downside, followed by a retracement of minimum 2 daily candles, and they are also all one color. This impulse, you can see it clearly broke and closed below the lowest point of the previous structure. So this week would be the lowest point of the previous structure. Let me put it right here. So this impulse right here broke and closed below. So this would be a valid setup on the daily. If you go to the weekly, you can clearly see that price is below this previous support level turned into resistance. So if you look to the left, it was resistance, support. Price has now broken this level, following by a retest. Can possibly use it to continue the momentum to the downside. If you go back to the daily time frame, on the daily time frame, we will draw our fib from the end to the beginning. 4 hour, we wait for the break of this level. So let's play it forward. You can see price has now broken the 61 level. So that means our stop loss can now go on the 61, or entry can now go on the 61. Stop loss 88 and take profit negative 27. Now, if you want to be protected by this structure high right here, you can also put your entry point in between the 88 and the 61, stop loss above the 100, and take profit at always on the negative 27. So give you at least a 1 to 3 risk to reward. So your entry point will be right here. Now we're waiting, and as you can see, we have now been tapped into this entry and also the 61 level entry. Play it forward, and as you can see, the stop loss on the 61 level entry has been hit, and also the stop loss on the 38 level has, you can say it has been hit, or if you gave it just a little bit more room to breathe, it has not been hit. But let's just say this stop loss right here has been hit. Euro CAD. So we start off on the daily time frame. And I'm going to go speed up the process because you guys get what I'm talking about. It's just the same thing. Identify the direction of the market. Identify your impulse plus retracement. Identify if the impulse closed above or below the lowest or highest point. Weekly resistance or support. Fib from the end of the retracement to the beginning and wait for the break of the 4 hour. So it's simple as that. On the daily, let me remove this. So this was the setup on the daily. We have our impulse right here, followed by our retracement. We go to the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, we are looking for our resistance or support that could be of influence. So this would be the resistance level. We know the daily is bearish. The weekly is stepping back into this resistance level, possibly followed back to the downside. On the daily, you can possibly draw a support level right here. And just like I showed you in the previous example, you see that price came to this support, having now a retest. It could go higher from this support, or it could just tap into this resistance and continue the momentum to the downside. So on the daily, you see prices at this level, draw the fib in the opposite direction, wait for the break of the 61, continue. Price went higher, so that means we can just adjust our fib. Still don't have a break yet. No break yet, no break yet, no break yet. Now we have the break. So that means we can now place our order on the 61. That would be right here. Stop loss 88 and take profit negative 27. If you want to be protected by this structure high, you can put it in between. Just make sure it is at least a 1 to 3. And I just saw order right here to create a 1 to 3. Waiting to get tapped back into this trade. We have now been tapped into this trade with both entries. See what price does. The 61, if you would have taken this trade with this 61, your stop loss would have been hit with this entry right here, protected by this structure high. You still would have been inside of this trade. And let's see, yeah, this was the end of the week right here. Let's remove these two candles. So this was the end of the week. That means you still would have been inside of this trade if this was your entry. So this was the weekly recap. Wasn't a very great week, but we made some adjustments in the group, as you can see right here, where I explained that I am not going to, let's see, yes, right here, you can see I explained I'm going to only focus on the quality trades instead of the quantity of trades. And that is how we ended up getting a very profitable week as of last week. And this breakdown will be next. So appreciate you staying with me. Peace.